they're all Dutch.
Yeah.
That's like who really founded New York. That's why,
New Amsterdam, baby.
Yeah, that's why any fun silliness left in New York, it's because of them.
Can you imagine if like Italian Americans, like if it had stayed Dutch and they were just like, hey, we're this thing of ours, okay? We're fucking Italian.
We've got this
they're
statue, but she doesn't have the wooden shoes.
The Statue of Liberty in blackface.
Okay, so I don't agree with them doing blackface, but like, I like what they have going on. Like they're closer to Americans than Brits are. Like I feel like there's more Dutch in our DNA than Anglo.
Oh yeah, definitely. The Americans aren't very Anglo at all. That's a misconception about Americans, I think.
No,
they're overwhelmingly German.
Yeah, no, this is every American is like 80% German, whether they admit it or not.
Yeah.
Even if you're not German, you're German. Like, if you're Polish, you're just a Russian German. You're Irish, it's just another fucking... If you say you're Irish in America, chances are you're like 80% German. I just don't believe it. Like, everyone's fucking a crowd. Everyone's a crowd here. Like, it's fine.
Except
and there used to be like crowd identity. And then we got into like one of the most pointless wars we've ever gotten into. And we're like, oh, we hate them now. And it's like, what are you talking? Everyone here is that. There's like 10 Anglos and 50 billion Krauts.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, the Anglos are all
so
doing good
we have to
shepherd
make
shit.
them assimilate.
And then everyone else is German. You got like the Skull and Bones guys, and then the Germans.
I mean, I'm gonna dip out of ethnography corner here.
Phoebe restraining herself.
I can say it. I'm all talking about like races that did the Holocaust to my race.
Yeah.
It's fine for me to say.
It feels okay for you to say it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can like, I can say whatever I want about Polish people. It's different. It's different for you guys.
That's
it's different for you guys. You guys like.
All right. So what?
UK,
what's
what's
my position? My grandmother was a German Jewish refugee. What can I say it?
If you live in England, unfortunately, no.
That's regrettable.
About Polish people, no.
Okay. Well, no.
We are weird about the Poles in England.
I wasn't. I'm not weird about the Poles. Jesus.
Well, no, I know you're not. I don't assume you are. But I'm just saying, like, I didn't know that for the longest time. And like, I didn't know that it was like, it takes on a different tenor.
Yeah.
In America, you could just make Polish jokes because, whatever. That's probably where we're ending up. We're going to have a president and vice president who are twins.
The twins. That would be an interesting constitutional question. Can two twins be president? Like an Air Bud type question.
They did that.
What?
They basically did that in Poland.
Oh, in Poland? I thought you meant in the US.
Yeah.
You've had the Trump twins, actually. There was two of them. People don't know it, but it was two guys. It was like The Prestige. There were two guys being Donald.
Trump does have the vibe of somebody who absorbed his twin.
Yeah, actually, yeah, I could see him eating a twin.
There's some people who like they have like a scar in the middle of their chest and like that. They're like, that's where my twin's ear was. That's the Trump energy.
Yeah,
which we all miss.
It's like fine. It's fine to absorb your twin. It's like you got to look out for number one at the end of the day. I know, but I know like
your twin.
I like dated a girl who was from like a set of twins, and it was clear she was like the. I mean, maybe they should have. It's like one was clearly the alpha twin.
Yeah, there's always there's always
Yeah.
an alpha twin.
Yeah, so it's like it's like a choice that the alpha twin made. Like either you absorb the twin, which in a way is kinda, or you keep them around just to like dominate
be the cuck
them.
twin.
Yeah,
you have a slave. That's what it was like. Yeah.
So really, it's much kinder to just incorporate them and then become a single, stronger twin.
Yeah, wouldn't you rather have like two brains?
Yeah.
In one.
Yeah, I think that would
Instead
be
of like it's like if you've ever had an external hard drive, you're like, I don't know, it feels a bit slower. Wish this was in the PC tower.
Me and my Excel
I wish I just
hard
had
drive.
a really big PC.
You unplug your twin brain, and then your actual brain's just like, what the fuck? What'd you do that for?
Yeah, I keep all the porn in my twin. Yeah, that's my policy.
I don't know. Well, yeah, I was like, I don't know. I probably shouldn't like. I
shouldn't offend the people of twin.
Oh no, I don't care about that.
Yeah.
It's like they know they're weird.
9/11 was actually a twin.
I was wondering
wrong.
like I'm like against like talking too much about what my actual like life is. I think it's like you give too many things up and then it's like you're just insane. Like that's why YouTubers are so weird.
Oh yeah.
I had a funny story, but I was like, nah.
Okay.
Well,
I'm not gonna do it.
Fair enough. No funny stories on this show.
No.
Hello and welcome to Masters of Our Domain, a show which is allegedly about Seinfeld. I'm Motherwell, but someone who's never seen Seinfeld, and I'm joined as ever by my co-host Phoebe Roy.
Hello.
That is all she ever says. And as you may have heard, we are joined this week by a very special guest all the way from New York City, the Big Apple, baby. It's Felix Biederman. How you doing?
Hey, how are you?
Good. Not asking you about your personal life. That's what this show is going to be about.
I'll talk about what I've already like talked about.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like that's for my that's for Green Tab on Instagram.
Yeah.
Oh,
all the funny stories from my life.
Close friends.
There are some really funny ones that I want to tell, but it's like, nah, everyone can't know that.
Yeah.
You get so many bad replies, and it's like, nah,
yeah,
you can't hear about my childhood that much. You get those fucking drunk at 3 p.m. replies, and you're like, all right, you've lost your privileges to my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just going on close friends.
Well, like that guy who messaged me to say that I'd changed my my walking route a few years ago.
What's up, man?
And I was just like, oh boy, I'm gonna stop posting what I thought were fairly unidentifiable leafy pictures of the walks I go on. I'm gonna stop doing that.
You're just being followed by like peeping Tom's solid snake. He's like got like he's fucking crawling through bushes following you.
Oh yeah, no, it's cool.
Yeah.
Cool and fun.
No, I don't know anything quite that wild. Actually, told me a story that there was some friend of his wife's who they lost a hard drive with all the pictures of their like young kid on it, and they were posting on Twitter or Instagram or something like, "Oh, this is so upsetting. We've lost all these pictures of our kid." And someone that they like vaguely knew DM'd them and was like, "Oh, don't worry. I've been saving every photo of your child that you've ever posted."
Yeah.
What's up, dog?
Yeah.
What's up, man?
Fuck?
Just imagine DMing someone, like even if you'd been doing it, like let's allow that for a second. Imagine being like, I'm going to save the day here. Like,
You know what?
Everyone's going to really like me after this one.
They're going to thank me. I sound like the cool guy here.
They're like, you know what? Sometimes pedophiles save the day. Like,
no one talks about those times.
Yeah, exactly.
I actually keep all the pictures of other people's kids in my twin, so can't get me.
That's right.
I have like had a lot of things. Like someone I know, I'm not going to say who they are. They went on a date with a guy, and the guy was like, "Yeah, I've actually jacked off to several pictures of me."
Oh.
The person I know is like, "What do you want my reaction to be to that?"
Do you know which pictures they were?
I hope they're the ones where I'm like, I've just woken up and all the fluid has settled in like one side of my face, and I look like I ate a bee.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a good choice. That would be a man of taste.
Yeah.
If that was so, I think.
Yeah. I mean, he likes me when like not when I'm at my best.
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
You don't want to hear that someone's like jacking it to like your holiday pictures. You want like really kind of like I'm making kind of goofy face with my friend like a friend in front of the kind of the
like, I
lions.
actually jack it to your personality.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I want to
cool.
hear.
Yeah, exactly. I jack it to to your podcast.
I do not want to hear that under any circumstances.
No, do not jack off to Phoebe. Legally, you cannot jack off to Phoebe. It's not allowed.
I will sue you.
Yeah, she will. She'll take you to court. And
the
British courts are extremely libel hawkish.
Look, I have jacking jurisdiction. If you jack off to me, you got to pay me.
Yeah, that's right.
I would have made so much money in 2015.
Yeah.
If you could do that.
What, as in like from people jacking off?
Yeah, if I could have taken them to court for that.
Oh, yeah, that was like the
just
peak
in like
era.
2015, 2016. Yeah.
You think you're past it now? You've had it. They're not keen anymore.
Yeah, kind of.
Oh, that's a shame.
I'm waiting for like my face like dry out as I age.
Oh yeah, nice.
You know how like Roger Waters had kind of like a big face, and then he got old, and it was like, Oh, nice. He kind of looks like Richard Gere now. Let's go, dude. Nice work, Roger.
Sweet. You're planning on a kind of like Silver Fox type thing.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, that'd be
I don't want my face to say... It's not going to work if my face stays the same size for like in like 30 years. I won't like that.
No. And I think it's unlikely. I don't think anyone's face stays the same size.
I've never
well, some people's get bigger. That's like, what happens to Irish people.
And by Irish, you mean German?
Yeah.
Yeah, well...
The Western German.
Yeah. The Western German.
Yeah.
The Isle German.
Yeah. The Tipperary Teuton. As we like to call them.
I mean, there really is like no difference. They're the same culture.
We're just keeping very silent here because
this is the other thing because
we're English. We can't say
exactly.
this stuff.
Oh yeah.
We've just got to let you. We've just got to let you talk.
Yeah, because this is the because
I'm seeing if I can like get banned for the UK for like that type of hate speech.
Oh, getting banned from the UK is good. No, I think you wouldn't get banned from the UK. The UK, if anything, encourages hate speech, but I think it would be.
No, it's pretty easy to get banned from the UK.
If you like it,
they won't let Tyler the Creator come in.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but he's banned for something weird though? It's not.
You
for,
just
like,
got to release a record.
Yeah.
How are your rhymes?
I'm just a listener.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll have to find another way for you to get banned from the
Snoop
UK.
Dogg quite recently because of some
Don't say we.
No, I don't mean me. I mean the British government. You know, which obviously represents the British people.
No idea.
I think so. I think over some like really weird like weed related thing, which I mean will shock you to hear about Snoop Dogg. But yeah, he was showing up for a tour, got deported at Heathrow Airport. There you go. It's not really a funny story. It's just...
No.
No. So we're talking about Seinfeld. Season 3, episode 15, The Suicide, if you're watching along at home, which we hope you are. It opens with a bit, which is Jerry... Yet another fucking, like, an anxiety that only Jerry Seinfeld could have. He's going at the thing that grinds everyone's gears, giving a urine sample. I'm wondering if like Jerry Seinfeld has the sort of like Steven Crowder illness. He's like always at the doctor.
I was wondering about that. I was wondering if that was like a generational thing. Like if it's like because it's like I mean, I just don't go to a GP. Like I don't really see the point. You know?
If I die, I die. I'm not living near that hospital.
Yeah. Well, you know, if you really break it down, most things in the hospital aren't that bad.
Mm-hmm.
The worst thing about the hospital is the size of the bed, but like they have a secret menu system where you can order a bigger bed.
Oh, okay.
You just have to know how to talk to them.
You got to know the terminology.
Yeah. So it's like if it gets really bad, you just go to the hospital and you get like the Jell-O, the cup of ice, the Dilaudid, and you're fine.
Yeah.
But I was wondering if in the 90s people were taking urine samples more.
Maybe. I feel like medicine has gotten less invasive over the years because when I lived in Russia, like their medical care, I would say is like kind of in terms of at least the stylistics is like 30 years behind. And like they're still doing stuff like you go for a basic STI test and they're like, okay, now we stick this metal rod down your penis. And you're like, maybe not. I don't think that's necessary.
You just... That wasn't a doctor. That was just a guy with a sounding fetish.
Damn, I should stop trying to get my STI checks at just like a Yuri's STI garage.
Well, what they used to do for STI checks, they don't do this anymore because presumably they decided it was
ducking stool, crushing you with heavy rocks.
Yeah, but when they're done with that, when they're done with the ducking stool, they used to ask you to list the countries that everyone that you've slept with were from.
Can you give us their phrenological characteristics? What sort of brain pan are we dealing with here?
And years ago, I went for an STI check, and the nurse said, "Have you had sex with anyone from a foreign country?" And I, without thinking, said, "Yes, Scotland." And she looked at me like I was the largest dickhead on the planet.
She just doesn't understand how English you are. So you're like, God knows what they've got.
Look, we colonized them, so...
his penis was deep fried? I'm not sure, is that a...
Is that a thing?
That's what I call a battered sausage. Yeah. Anyway, so Jerry's thing about urine samples is you don't know how much to give them. It's like, I want to do well on the urine test.
This is the thing. First of all, I have a lot of sympathy with that. I want to do well on the urine test. I think women
have excellent piss.
I think women are asked for their piss more than men. I'm going to say it. I'm going to go right ahead and say it.
Yeah, in my experience, I'm usually asking more women for it.
If you were to do an
I
analysis.
was like, if I'm asking for it from a friend,
Yeah.
but I think the real thing is like Jerry's just like getting STI tests a lot because he's like no condom gang. And
Jerry Raw Dog Seinfeld.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you've got money, why not? But he can do the thing Future does, where he puts all his assets into a company that's like run by Elaine. And then if he gets sued for custody or for child support, it's like, oh, well, I technically only make like $25,000 a year. And I make all the purchases through the company. I don't do this. I've never had a paternity scare, but this is a known technique. But he didn't want to say like, oh, I'm getting STD tests, even though the show depicts him, Jerry with like Wilt Chamberlain numbers.
Yeah.
This show went on for like 83 years and he fucks a new woman in every show, in every episode.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's true.
It's remarkable that Jerry Seinfeld wasn't ravaged by like syphilis and all kinds of other sort of 19th century venereal diseases that people don't get anymore.
You can still get syphilis.
I know, but it's not a thing that often happens.
Yeah, believe me, I'm trying.
I just want to get syphilitic madness. I want to get that real Nietzsche shit. I want to write a seminal philosophical treatise and then like get naked in a fountain.
Yeah, no one ever talks about like the good part of it.
Yeah.
You get syphilis and then you don't
Much
have to
like
explain
pedophiles.
yourself ever again.
Yeah, that is true. That's the dividend. That's the syphilis payoff that you
can
get.
draw a bunch of beauty spots all over your face.
Yeah.
You can get a powdered wig.
Fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be good. You start taking fucking mercury.
Is that what you have to take for syphilis?
I mean, it's no, you shouldn't. That was what they thought cured syphilis, and actually it just made you fucking madder. Because that's what mercury makes you fucking insane. Yeah.
Mad as a hatter.
Exactly, because they use mercury to make hats.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Again, not exactly
History
a joke,
corner.
but true. Yeah, history corner. Then
not
Jerry goes
laughing,
on
you're learning.
trying to do really well on the hearing test. He's like, you want the guy to come out and be like, I think you may have something close to super hearing. Gonna need you to go and meet the president.
Which president is he talking about here?
I mean, I know it's not Trump, but I wish it had been Trump. I would love to see Trump meeting a kid who has
with super hearing.
This kid can hear anything, this kid. I'm talking very, very quietly. You can still hear it. Tremendous child.
It's like 91, 92. So this is what, George Bush Sr.?
Yeah. Or maybe like very early Clinton. Yeah.
I thought Clinton wasn't 93, no? 93,
I guess
94?
he was inaugurated in 93 probably, yeah. He was elected in 92, yeah.
Everyone's always inaugurated the January after the election.
So this is like a kind of... So this is interesting.
Bush
this is
Senior,
like a
I
kind
think,
of,
would be the least interested in a child with super hearing.
This is like a Bush Senior Clinton crossover year. So maybe that's what accounts for the decline in piss testing.
Yeah. Clinton's your ideal president. If you're the kid with super hearing, he's going to get the fucking saxophone out.
I wouldn't let my child with super hearing near Clinton.
Yeah, you're going to be able to take a cool plane ride.
Yeah, exactly. What if he tries to get my child's super hearing adrenochrome?
the oral adrenochrome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That stuff's rich.
Maybe. Well, I mean, write in with your thoughts on that.
Also, if you've got super hearing, if someone plays a saxophone near you, then you're going to blow out your eardrums.
No, I don't think it's you hear stuff louder. I think you just hear stuff in more detail. You hear like
in
a
more
fucking...
detail? No, because no. Because if you hear a piece of felt dropping on a floor, dropping on like a piece of carpet, is that what he says?
Something like that.
Like a bouncy ball, like dropping on a piece of felt.
Yeah.
A cotton ball dropping on a piece of felt. Fucking hell. Like your hearing would have to be really, really fine tuned. So anything which is like a normal sound or loud is going to sound even louder.
You could have like a wide range of hearing. You don't necessarily hear everything.
That's not what super hearing is.
I don't know. I don't know why you have such a clear idea of what super hearing is.
If you hear a saxophone, you've got super hearing. That is going to hurt.
Yeah, which is why people with super hearing hate jazz.
Yeah, because they can hear.
I'm not racist. I just have super hearing. It's nothing. I have nothing against it as an art form. It's just too loud for me. Turn it down.
Well,
a bit.
do dogs hate jazz?
Yes.
Dogs have super hearing.
Dogs hate jazz, but that's not because of their super hearing. That's because dogs have no appreciation of complex and experimental art.
Yeah. Dogs are all just into like Bruce Springsteen.
Like you could take a dog to see like Paul Clay or something, and they're just like, "What's that? That doesn't even look like a flower."
Mm.
Yeah, they just tilt their head like an asshole.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're fucking jerks. They just want to be out grilling.
Yeah. They want to just be fed a slice of bread or something, you know?
Can dogs eat bread?
Apparently.
No, I mean, they can eat it, but you really shouldn't give it to them. Grain's not good for them.
Interesting.
They like have not evolved to process grain that well.
My sister used to give her dog slices of bread as treats all the time. But then again, all my sister's dogs have died extremely young.
Oh no.
I mean, they love bread. Bread's great. Like everyone loves bread, but like they shouldn't have it. Like maybe if they've done something really extraordinary, they can get a little bread. But like generally, got to keep grain away from them.
If they've like sat patiently through like a whole rendition of Blue Train, then they get a piece of bread.
Yeah.
If they've saved someone from the towers, you know.
What, the dog?
Yeah. You know, if it was a heroic dog, you can get a slice of bread. So it's not just a good
boy, it's like a really, really good boy.
Like a heroic boy. Like it would get a CrossFit workout named after it, like that quality of dog.
I used to like belong to this gym where there's like this veteran there, and he would take his fucking dog that he needs to like not scare his wife there, which is like, you know, your wife and kids aren't here. You know, if the gym is reminding you of when you were guarding like opium farmers, like maybe you shouldn't come here. Maybe you should get a home gym. And he would just throw his fucking tennis ball around and like play fetch with the dog while people were doing like Olympic lifts. And it's like, someone's going to kill your dog by accident, dumbass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did someone kill his dog
I hated
by
that
accident?
guy so much. I hope that guy I hope he had a bad 4th of July.
Yeah, so do I.
That's the worst thing that can happen to a person.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Well, veteran.
Oh, yeah, that is true, yeah.
I hope he flew cross country and no one gave up their first class seat for him.
Yeah, that's good actually. That's like being a British veteran where just no one gives a fuck.
Yeah.
People are so disinterested in
Yeah, that's true.
Unless you're fancy. We like fancy like ex-officer guys, but that's it.
Not that much though.
Even then, yeah, not really. No, it's just not cool here. It's not what people are into.
I mean, I'm ambivalent on veterans. Like I've met some cool ones, I've met some not cool ones, but it's like, you know, your rights as a veteran end where my rights begin. If you got to take your dog to the gym, fuck off, pal. I didn't make you sign up.
I like the idea that that's one of the perks of joining the US military is like you get to take your dog to the gym.
I mean, it kind of is. It's like, yeah, no, you like fucked up your brain forever by like going to this war that we were never going to win. Here, you could take your fucking dog to Le Pan Quotidien forever.
Yeah.
You could have like a border collie.
You get a discount and a CrossFit workout's going to get named after your dog. How's that?
Yeah.
Will that do?
You can feed your dog a pan au chocolat in Le Pan Quotidien.
You shouldn't feed a dog a pan of chocolate. That'll kill it.
Yeah. But you can because you were in the army. Like normal people can't do that, but you can.
My aunt used to invigilate exams and one of the
Does that come with any privileges?
Well, you'd think. And one of the kids in one of the exams that she was invigilating had such a serious anxiety disorder that apparently there were all kinds of like of dispensations that had to be made for kids with various different types of anxiety disorder. But this particular kid's anxiety disorder was he could not cope unless he could see his dog. So, but they couldn't
unless he could see it. So you can like Skype the dog in.
Well, what they decided to do, because they went back and forth about whether or not he was allowed to have the dog with him in the exam hall. Like my aunt was just like, what happens when the dog dies? How's this kid gonna cope? And they were just like, no, it doesn't matter, doesn't worry, don't think about that.
That's not our problem.
That's not
going
our
to be
problem.
After this exam season.
Our problem is how we're going to get him through this exam while he still maintains contact with his dog. And she said, did he have the dog at school the whole time? And they're like, we don't know. That's not the point. And they talked about having the dog in the exam hall. They decided it would be too distracting for the other kids. And like, what if the dog started barking? So instead, what they ended up doing was they made sure that he had a seat next to the window and they had the dog outside the window. And so like whenever he like looked up, he could just like see the dog just like looking in through the window at him, just like going, hello.
Yeah. And that
I hope that guy like becomes like a surgeon.
Yeah, I hope he's like a
Like
really
some
successful
other, like,
person. It's
high-intensity job.
I cannot deal with this. Do not show me your brainstem until I can see my dog.
my emotional support.
They should like they should fast track him into the army because it's like, well, you already have the disease where you need to be around your dog,
Yeah.
or else you scare people.
Yeah, he's got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is it gonna get worse?
Yeah.
If he gets PTSD, he'll like need to not be around the dog.
Yeah, it might cancel it out. He might get PTSD and just become a normal guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That could be fun.
Yeah, that's how it works.
Yeah.
You can neutralize PTSD if you're enough of a weirdo
You just have
as a
to
kid.
go and fight an unwinnable war in the desert.
Yeah, with a dog.
Yeah.
I've read a study by psychological experts determining that trauma is it's like an urban myth.
Oh.
No one really has it.
Yeah. It's like that and the chupacabra.
Yeah.
What's the chupacabra? Is that the goat sucker?
It's the Mexican fantastical creature. It's Mexican, right?
Yeah. He's like a cool, like ratty little guy.
Ah.
Yeah.
He's a little devil.
Ah.
I think Chupacabra's
That
cute.
sounds cute.
Mm.
I like
Yeah.
that little devil guy.
Yeah. It's like Chucky, a monster you could easily defeat.
You know what? No. We're not doing this again because fuck Chucky.
Yeah.
He's a little shithead.
Yeah.
Little shithead
too
doll.
small to be threatening.
I will chuck him in the recycling. I'll get him collected by the council.
Good. So we cut to Jerry's apartment. Jerry and Elaine are discussing whether they would name a child Rasputin. That's going to come up later. That's Chekhov's Rasputin right there.
Chekhov's monk.
Yeah, I personally...
It's a shame that he's not a nun because...
Wasn't Rasputin a priest? Wasn't he an
He was
Orthodox priest?
No, he was a monk, wasn't he?
I thought he was a priest.
Felix? Get to weigh in?
I don't really know. I mean, like religion in Russia is different. Like it's like RPG classes. Like you can be like a hybrid. You can be like a priest monk or like a knight.
Can you
Fucking
also be an
knight
ogre?
deacon.
Maybe an ogre of the Russian Orthodox Church?
That's every Russian who isn't a priest.
Yeah, like every Russian relationship, I think we've talked about this before, is between like a smoking hot woman and a guy who looks like Shrek. That is like basically the dynamic.
Yeah, my ideal. As
and then
we
slowly,
keep discussing.
as they age, the dynamic reverses.
Yeah, the only like two things. There are three things you can do like as a Russian man. One of them is that you're like a biochemist who writes novels.
Yeah.
The other is like priest monk hybrid. And then the third is like the most common thing, which is just like you'd like get into forklift accidents.
Yeah, exactly. Like
you drive an ATV to like cut a crude swastika into a cornfield.
Yeah. That's slightly more Ukrainian, actually, I think.
Yeah, that's more
energy.
Ukrainian.
But yeah, Russians would definitely be like, I run a shop that fits counterfeit tires onto Mercedes, and also in my spare time, I do amateur bungee jumping from roof of my apartment building. That's the kind of powerful shit that they're up to.
Professional bungee jumping?
I think professional.
You have sponsors.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you're sponsored by one of those apps for people with depression.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're like a brand partnership
Yeah.
for your bungee jumps.
Yeah,
You're sponsored by...
mindfulness has really helped me bungee jump, and that's why I use like mind place.
That is kind of Russian mindfulness. Yeah, I like the idea of just like if you were a Russian bungee, you'd probably be sponsored by like a brand of salami or something, or like a kind of like a bad cheese, something like that, or like a cheap vodka.
Bad cheese.
Oh man, it's all bad cheese.
I can imagine.
Well, they like food that's like they like making like the wrong type of food sweet.
Oh yeah.
They're like, hey, do you want some fish that has like a honey glaze? No.
No, I don't
that
want
sounds
that.
horrible.
I don't want fucking sardines with cinnamon on it or whatever the fuck you guys are doing.
There's nothing.
Some Russian food's good, but it's like,
yeah,
man, you guys made the wrong stuff sweet.
there's nothing they won't put mayonnaise on.
Oh.
They love mayonnaise, and it ultimately that's what they'll be judged for on Judgment Day.
Yeah, I mean, mayonnaise is like pretty good. It gets a bad rap, but like it doesn't go on everything.
No.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't like
There's
mayonnaise.
a Russian salad called...
Mayonnaise is the devil's semen.
Yeah. Fuck. I'm not even going to finish that anecdote. Not after that. I can't top that. Elaine is fasting because she has to fast for 3 days to take an ulcer test, which I wasn't even aware was a thing. A test.
Yeah.
Yeah, for like stomach ulcers.
No,
not for
I
like a mouth
realize.
ulcer.
Not for a no, I realized that. I just...
Stick some Bonjela on it, be on your way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is something that was like a little time marker because it's like I've had ulcers a few times and it's like you don't need to do that anymore. You don't need to starve for 3 days.
Yeah, they can just tell
It
you.
would have sucked to get ulcers in 1993 though.
Yeah, imagine having an ulcer during Bill Clinton's inauguration. You wouldn't even enjoy the saxophone.
No.
Too busy nursing your stomach ulcer.
Yeah, you're super hearing. You're picking up that saxophone for all the way from New York.
You can hear your ulcer.
Yeah.
Going.
Is that the noise they make?
Well, if you've got
Like
super
a
hearing,
revolted
yes.
horse?
I'm sorry, like a revolted horse.
Yeah.
No, it's more like a kind of something kind of going, kind of, pulsating around in there. I don't know. I've never had a stomach ulcer. I'm not 100% sure what they are, as is presumably apparent.
I mean, honestly, it's just like a fancy word for like a really bad stomach ache.
Oh.
Huh.
I'm sure there's like a more scientific explanation. That's really what they are.
Are they like a kind of tangible thing? Are they like a cyst?
Oh yeah. No, it's like it's a definite like thing. Yeah. Like medically, but it's like for how it feels, it just feels like a really bad stomach ache.
I wouldn't like to get one of those.
This has been Medical Corner.
So what do you do if you have an ulcer now? So you don't have to don't have to fast. You just leave it.
Well, I mean, like everyone's like people get ulcers for different reasons. You can get them from like stress. You can get them from you just have like a bad gastro reaction to something that you eat. You have like an allergy you're not sure of. There are like a billion reasons, but like I'm sure for like some you're supposed to fast, but.
Well, because if you have like ulcerative colitis, because that's presumably like where you have like loads and loads of ulcers, like all along your digestive system, like that's like a serious like autoimmune disorder, right?
I don't know. You're really asking the wrong person here, Phoebes. Doctor,
well, I've been a medical doctor for 15 years. You're asking the right person.
Okay. Yeah.
Ulcerative colitis is always brought on by lack of mindfulness and negative thinking.
Yeah. By not eating enough soup. That's what the Russians would tell you.
Yeah.
So if you go on a bad bungee jump, you end up with ulcerative colitis.
The experience of living in Russia is just the most unhealthy looking people you've ever met in your life. Being like, you need to eat more soup or you will get unhealthy. And you're like, no, you eat soup all the time and you look like you should be dead. I'm going to not eat the soup.
Hey, they're still ticking though.
Yeah, they are, to be fair. They're sort of like...
If you think about what their lives are, it's like they're actually very healthy. It's like how the guy who's the most afraid but goes over the top in the trench is the bravest guy. If you live their lifestyle and you're like alive past 45, you're the most healthy guy ever.
Yeah, that is
It's easy to live to 100 if all you do is eat fish and rice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like you live their lifestyle.
You're fucked.
You've got to be powerful. If you're like pounding like fucking 4 beers a day plus all the vodka and shit, you're drunk driving, you're smoking like a 20-pack of Parliaments a day. Yeah, you got to be pretty healthy to get through that.
Drunk driving is self-care.
Yeah, that is true. For them, it certainly is.
Drunk driving is mindfulness.
It's the best way to get to where you need to go. You need to be kind of loose to be on the highway.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And it's socialist too, because you're not expecting someone else to drive you somewhere. You're doing it yourself, no matter what state you're in. Sure, you're a self-starter. You're like, I may be drunk, but I'm not going to let that stop me from driving.
Is that being a socialist?
I think so. I think that's what it is.
From my imperfect understanding.
Right. We then get this whole thing where Jerry's taking the garbage out, and he bumps into George in the corridor, and he's trying to pay George to take it out. He offers George 50 cents. And George is like, I'm not touching that for less than $2. This is not a Chekhov's garbage debate. The garbage doesn't come up again. This is just...
No, yeah, this is just like a set up sight gag for a pretty good sight gag.
Yeah, it's a good sight gag.
Yeah, it's a fun sight gag. Sight gag, yeah. And then George starts talking about this holiday is going to take to the Cayman Islands. And Jerry's like, what do you need a break for? From getting up at 11? I was like, okay, Jerry, some of us... Be careful who you offend. Some of us are going to be reviewing this for a podcast, okay?
What,
I do need a holiday.
The powerful podcaster.
Yeah, that's right.
The powerful podcast lobby.
We can take down Seinfeld.
If you really were a member of a powerful lobby, what would you do with it?
I don't know.
What would you disseminate?
Disseminate.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I don't know, just make just start like a really weird rumor. Like, make everyone believe exactly what they believe about vaccines, but about, like, cheese or something, Like, they're going to control your mind.
Okay.
Like, what they think about 5G, but about, like, Peter Andre.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The Chinese government are putting Peter Andre in your neighborhood to spy on you.
Should you maybe choose someone a little bit more current?
No.
No.
Peter
Andre it is.
I think, yeah.
Felix, are you familiar with Peter Andre?
No, I'm not.
He's
why
a
would
Greek
you be?
Australian pop star, which is
Already hate 3 of my least favorite things.
He was a Greek Australian pop star. He no longer is. He hasn't been for about 20 years.
Now he's like a British reality TV personality. He's like, I'm just trying to take care of my kids. He was married to a British Page 3 model. Are you familiar with like the Page 3 thing? Like,
You like the first, the headline is like, Muslim ambulance driver like kills guy.
Yeah.
He had to stop to pray. And then you open up to Page 3 and there's some nipples.
Yeah.
Pretty good. I mean, not the first page. There was a
period of time when they used to editorialize the Page 3 models. So they would have like a picture of
News in briefs.
Yeah, they'd have a picture of a lovely...
it's like Lucy Pender or whatever.
Lovely girl.
And
with
they'd be like, Lucy says...
Lucy says that the EU agriculture and fisheries policy is, in fact, very inimical to British farmers.
And it would be like the most intelligent thing in the entire newspaper.
Yeah.
And they thought they were owning the Page 3 girl by being like, as if a woman could think of something that smart. And it's but it's the smartest thing in the paper.
Yeah.
Your actual editorial is way less smart than that.
So the Chinese government is putting Peter Andre in your neighborhood.
Yeah, that's right, to spy on you. I'm glad we've cleared that up. And so then Jerry flirts with a MILF. That's exciting.
This was... All right, I'm going to say another thing that sounds like it's going to be weird, but it's really not.
Go ahead.
And it's one of these things that people are going to say I'm weird for saying now, but in 2 years we'll say the exact same thing. It was interesting to see, like on TV, when you watch Seinfeld or anything from this era, it's before like they made every like woman and like kind of man on TV have like 2018 face, where just the moment you turn 24, they shoot you full of fucking fillers.
Yeah.
Anyone who like makes more than $120,000 a year in entertainment has the same face now. They're just fucking
it's what my mum calls the bum face. Because she says that these young women now all have these like kind of swollen shiny faces and they all look like butts.
Yeah,
like Chrissy
there's
Teigen
no
look.
like there's no like interesting character to faces anymore. Like sometimes it's like, it's interesting if someone has like lines under their eyes or what, but it's like none of that anymore. And it's like cool watching Seinfeld because it's before that. And it's like, Jerry's just he's fucking a MILF.
Yeah.
Regular MILF who doesn't have 2018 face.
Yeah, because it's 1992. And we're extremely pro-MILF on this show. This has been a long-running thing. And the whole... Now, this was a bit I slightly missed, and I was trying to get the video to go back, and it wouldn't. This is where the whole thing with the coffee cake is set up.
Right, yeah.
Because him and George are having this conversation about the coffee cake, and then he gets, like, the MILF to weigh in about the coffee cake.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure how the coffee cake came up.
Okay, the coffee cake comes up because when George and Jerry are haggling over how much it's going to cost how much it's going to cost Jerry to get George to take his garbage out, he says, come on, you can buy yourself a Drake's coffee cake. And then there's a bit of back and forth about whether this is the junior or the full size, and can you get
the idea of a junior coffee cake, like when you've not graduated to the full size.
It's like a mini Mars bar.
I know, but calling it junior specifically.
Hold a mini Mars bar in your head and then just
rotate it in your mind.
And then just map.
I'm in the Mind Palace. I'm thinking
Go
about
in the
a mini
Mind
Mars
Palace.
bar.
Imagine the mini Mars bar.
Yeah,
and then just map that onto a cake. I don't know what a Drake's coffee cake is. I got to tell you.
Yeah, but the
is this a real thing? The Drake's coffee cake? Or...
Yeah, it's like how Audrey Drake Graham got his start.
Oh, okay.
No,
I don't know who that is.
It is a real thing. The rapper Drake did not invent it. The rapper Drake was like 6.
Was he named after the coffee cake?
I mean, maybe his mom's Jewish.
Yeah.
So like maybe.
And as a people, we do love a coffee cake. We can say that.
Is that a stereotype about the Jews? No, I was going to say.
It's the main stereotype. It's like why all the bad stuff in history happened. Yeah. They're like, someone's eating all the coffee cake.
Yeah, the Jewish lobby controls all the coffee cake.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah. Soros is fucking hoarding coffee cake.
Does it taste of coffee, or do you have it with coffee?
You have it with coffee.
Right,
it's like a nice,
right.
sweet, like very dense, buttery cake, ideally. And you have it with a nice cup of coffee, and it's a good start to your day.
Sponge cake.
But it's a treat. Yeah, but it's like
like a Madeleine, maybe, sort of thing.
No, it doesn't sound like a Madeleine.
No,
Madeleine is stiffer.
very, very different texture than a Madeleine. It's like the cake is much denser and like kind of creamier, ideally.
Okay.
And on top are these like crunchy little crumbles.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And like sugar, powdered sugar, and like sometimes cinnamon, sometimes other stuff.
Sometimes a bit of dried
Pretty
fish
good.
with a honey glaze, something like that. Yeah, and that does sound pretty good. I can see why they're keen on these. Okay, I'm sold on the coffee cake. And this conversation with the MILF ends, and then they leave the garbage behind. They forget about it, and then the sight gag is that Kramer comes out of his apartment and just takes the garbage. Yeah.
This was a good, like, it was nice to see a joke that was set up and execute over the course of 4 minutes, because everything is like kind of Family Guy now. Like it needs to have like 50 jokes every 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Or people like everything is sort of made for a funniest moments compilation. And it's good to have like this is, as much as people make fun of like Seinfeld or whatever, it is like a very like tightly written show, like incredibly well done, more so than like really any show that's on TV now. And it's really nice to see that it's like, oh yeah, sometimes you have a base hit. You don't need to try to hit a fucking grand slam or hit a million singles a minute. Sometimes you just have like a nice, like good mid joke that you set up over a few minutes, and it gets you out of that part of that act. And you can go like, it's like, damn, this is why they were the best. This is why like, Jerry can buy all those settlements.
Yeah. And this is why, you don't always need that joke loud. Sometimes you can just have a bit of that joke mids. You're not too high. You're just enjoying it. You're just vibing.
You don't need a joke super hearing.
Well, no, I really think that because it's like that there's something to the idea that you can just sort of max yourself out. And if everything is just you're winding up huge, trying to knock it out, it does take a lot out of you. Like everyone's known a person who's like not really that funny, but is constantly fucking telling jokes. Right?
Yeah, we all know that like, person. I'm not looking at you, Milo. It's not you. That's not who I mean.
But it's like, it is like exhausting.
Yeah.
Because you're supposed to play along with them constantly. If you're playing along for a big fucking wind up, it's like, there's a unique bad feeling that watching like really shitty comedy gives you that shitty drama doesn't give you. And that feeling is exhaustion. And having like a lot of like a few like huge home run hits in like over the course of 22 minutes or so, but like scattered throughout are a bunch of like really solid base hits like that. It's like, damn, no wonder you can watch like fucking 12 hours of this if you had to.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Trying to do the Clockwork Orange thing on someone with Seinfeld and it just doesn't work. They're like, this is
really
like,
tightly written. I'm really enjoying this. This is great.
It's a great show.
This is great. Like,
are you got
any more?
I'm going to watch all like 7 seasons and then I'm going to go out and continue murdering people arbitrarily because this has done nothing to me.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
There's an amazing bit just off the back of what Felix said there. There's an amazing bit in a novel by Barbara Pym about how much of a nightmare it must have been to know and be friends with Oscar Wilde, and how everyone around him must have just been like really just like tense and anxious all the time, waiting for him to say something witty. And I think that's the same thing.
No, like everyone's met someone like Oscar Wilde, even someone who is funny, but like can't like get it together to like. There are people like that who are incredibly quick and like, witty, I guess. But you realize that every time you talk to them, they're just staring at you for you to be done talking so they can do their bullshit.
Yeah.
That's not cool. You don't want to hang out with that person.
They fucking suck.
Yeah. Anyway, love being a podcaster.
Psychoanalysis corner.
Yeah. And then George is talking about this dream he had where he's doing stand-up comedy on a cliff. And the crowd are throwing the comics off. And then Jerry says, I think I've played that gig. And I related to this harder than almost anything else in Seinfeld. That is like a gig that every comedian has played. There's like sort of reminiscent in vibes of the gig that you were referencing the other day with the promoter who famously offered one act a prostitute in lieu of payment. He said he didn't have the 20 quid, but he did have a
Comedy promoters are awesome.
They're so
we talk about comedy promoters a lot on this show. I like the idea that there is this kind of whole branch of fake taxi, but it's just like fake comedy.
Fake comedy. It is kind of fake comedy because there aren't many jokes. When you're a bad promoter, like it's a bad night. Like there's not really much comedy going on, and then the money is also fake.
Yeah.
We spoke with Alex Patak about the guy who didn't know what a joke was, but was a comedy promoter, and like he was analyzing our jokes and telling us that like he's like, no, but that doesn't make sense because that's like not what you expect the end of the sentence to be, and it's like, no, that's what a joke is.
That's what a joke is.
That's literally, otherwise that's just a sentence. That's just prose.
I don't get this. You're pretending to be a morally worse and dumber version of yourself.
Yeah. Wait, you're leaving out some information here from you're presenting a straw man of this situation.
If you had included that information from the off, then I wouldn't have been so surprised at the end of the sentence.
I don't think your girlfriend really sounds like that. Yeah. You're just wearing a tea towel on your head. That's not what women look like at all.
I'm sorry? A tea towel?
Oh, that's like all the Instagram comedians, who I hate.
Whenever
they're being their mum or their girlfriend, they just put a tea towel on their head.
Yeah, no, I've never known what that's supposed to be.
My mum, who's a Saudi prince,
Look, some people's mums are Saudi princes, and I thank you
I don't
not
want
to
to erase
them.
those people. So Jerry's MILF neighbor comes and knocks on his door in the night, and she says that her boyfriend has tried to kill himself with pills because he was very upset.
You missed out an important bit. The dream is also about the neighbor who George hasn't seen for ages.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
And so then he helps the MILF take this man who's called Martin to hospital. And then she's saying like, oh yeah, he doesn't like you. He really hates that Drake's coffee cake. And then she's like, do you think about me? I've thought about you many times. And then she starts shouting, I wish he was dead. Why don't we just unplug him? Kiss me right here. What are you, afraid of an unconscious man?
I love the idea of actively disliking someone because they like a cake that you don't like.
Yeah.
I really liked the like main plot, the A plot here, because it's like you couldn't do this with like Modern Family. Because it's like if they have a suicide storyline, it's like a 2-episode arc where like, the message is like, guys, depression is so important.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to find out like the Ed O'Neill character like tried to kill himself when he was like 20 and he goes in the big speech that's like made for YouTube, made for like people to repost it and shit. And we're going to put the Logic song at the end and all the proceeds from this episode that we would normally pay Danny Zucker are like going to like a suicide hotline.
Who I blame for this? I blame fucking Scrubs.
Yeah. Scrubs was ass.
Fucking show.
That show was fucking ass.
Yeah, it was terrible.
It did help ruin sitcoms. Yeah. It was just like I'm just supposed to feel bad for this guy because he's weak. I don't care.
Yeah.
So I don't give a fuck about this guy. He doesn't even seem that good of a doctor.
He should toughen up.
Yeah.
He needs to put his dog outside the operating theater and just nut up.
There's a definite.
Yeah, it was about about a pussy who's like afraid to fuck a girl who wants to fuck him.
Yeah.
And it went on for like 35 years.
Yeah.
I don't care, man.
Yeah. No, Scrubs sucks.
Yeah, there's a real rich genre of like incredibly soy American sitcoms. You've got Scrubs, you've got fucking Modern Family, you've got fucking How I Met Your Mother, which I think is one of the biggest offenders.
Yeah.
That one is like, and they're always like the kinds of British people that love these shows are always people that you can immediately avoid. If someone mentions How I Met Your Mother to you in conversation or Modern Family is a show.
Even being like emotionally invested in the romantic storylines in Friends, like this is the start of it.
Yeah, Friends.
This is the start of it. This is where it started. This is when they decided, sitcoms no longer have to be funny; they have to be fucking soap operas.
Well, that's like, why that all started with like 30 something. That's like Ken Olin, the guy who does This Is Us, which is the most fucking demented, like evil show I've ever fucking seen in my life that I've talked extensively about. Ken Olin is like he's like a great one. He's like a Lovecraftian great one. He's like an evil ancient god from across the universe who like he realized like, oh, you don't need to be as good at writing jokes as like Larry David and everyone. You don't have to be as funny as Larry Charles. You can just like you make like a facsimile of real life and jam all these tragedies and anxieties together, and it will push people's buttons in the right way. And commercially, they'll respond the same way they did to Seinfeld, and that changed TV forever. Yeah. And so, yeah, you just have these shows that are constantly like giving characters cancer, or like if it's one of these bullshit sitcoms always doing like oh, will they, won't they? Oh, they broke up. Oh, they got back together. And when you do that, you flatten the characters where they can't ever be in any interpretation like bad people. They can't ever really do anything where you're like, oh, that leaves a permanent mark on how I see them morally. But they could have an interesting journey as a person even. It just like that's why this show is good, is because like they're all kind of shitty people.
It's like it's like the opposite of relatability fiction. Like my dad always.
Well, this is exactly why I do relate to it, because everyone in it is shitty people, like me and all my friends.
My dad always says that like he can't stand he was never able to stand watching Friends, because he said that it was basically like if they try to like evacuate Seinfeld of its Jewishness and make it like acceptable to Middle America, and that's what you end up with.
Yeah,
and I was like, yeah, right on, Dad. That is a correct analysis.
Italian Seinfeld.
Yeah, that's right. That's what my dad wanted.
Friends of ours.
Yeah, it is like it's a remarkably like morally flat and like uninteresting world, and it is like you do have to. It's like a well-crafted pop song, Friends, where you're like, okay, they did like an amazing job like pushing people's buttons here, but it's not like. I think it's a greater mark of how well the show's written if you have these characters that are like absolutely like shitty for the most part. And there are a few good ones, and some people have good characteristics here and there, like real life. But you're not manipulating people into making these characters that are beyond what any person would be. That's why people respond in such a huge way to Always Sunny. They don't know it, but they're like, this is one of the only things where like, yeah, it's a sitcom where the characters are fucking rotten.
Yeah. I
mean,
I think Seinfeld does it more successfully, because I think in Always Sunny they're more cartoonishly awful, and they're more sort of like one characteristic.
Yeah.
Which I love Always Sunny, but it's like that. But like they're not really particularly like believable people. Whereas I think the Seinfeld characters are. I think they are all surprised. Even Kramer is a surprisingly rich personality, and there's lots of different like kind of gears and factors kind of working together.
I think you're right. Like Always Sunny is sort of, you're right, it's like paced out sort of like a cartoon, which is not a knock on it.
No.
It's still like an amazing show.
It's still amazing, it's hilarious, but like each of them have their one characteristic, and then everything they do is like responds to that characteristic. And in Seinfeld that's less so. They have they have like a whole mess of characteristics, and then their different storylines respond to like different parts of their character. So in this episode, when Elaine starts having a go at the woman for smoking while she's pregnant, that is absolutely a part of Elaine's demented moralization and like nosiness and how she likes to impose her kind of ethical systems on other people. But also that she's just like so fucking hungry that all she can do is talk about how like no one knows if dog food's any good, and gets really worried about the idea of dogs eating bad dog food.
Yeah, I mean, some people have tried dog food, haven't they? We know this.
I'm sure that's right, but that's not really the point, is it?
Yeah. I suppose not.
Everyone's done it. Fewer people will admit to it, but everyone's curious about it, because it's like, what would it taste like if someone made like a meat cereal? That's what dog food is. Yeah. And you're like, it's like not for me.
Russians would love that meat cereal.
I have no interest in eating dog food. I don't care what it's like.
I'm a coward. I wouldn't.
I don't care what it's like. If it.
No, I've done it like 2 or 3 times. Not like an entire bowl, but like like you're
an
feeding
entire
a dog.
bowl is sicko shit. That's real.
Yeah, just like suffering through it. Man, this sucks. But like, my mom started getting this like special dog food for her dog. That like, it doesn't have any grain in it. That's like the big deal behind it. And it's like, well, I mean, like I tried dog food in 2002. before the technology was advanced, and that wasn't good. Is this any different? Tastes the same to me. Probably tastes a little different to a dog.
Yeah, there you go.
But I was curious, you know? Like a cat is too different from me. I'm like, I know we're on a totally different wavelength of what we think is cool to eat. But like a dog, I mean, dogs want to eat bread.
So do cats.
They're on the same.
Cats eat weird shit. My old cat used to drink coffee.
Oh.
And for
that's bizarre.
Don't even talk to me before I've had my coffee.
Well, for ages we thought it was because he liked the milk, but then we clocked that he was doing it in black coffee. He was drinking black coffee out of people's cups as well.
Milk
he just
is
liked
bad
it.
for cats as well.
Yeah. He just liked it.
Right.
But
I'm gonna.
My friend.
I'm going to push us forward here. Okay. Conscious of time. We've done the thing again. So Jerry gets confronted by Kramer because he's telling the MILF story and that how he didn't kiss her in the hospital room. And Kramer's like, "What kind of man are you? There is no coma etiquette. You give him 24 hours and then you take all their stuff." And then Jerry's like, "So you wake up from a coma a month later and there's nothing left?" And then Kramer's like, "Nothing," which is interesting. I'm not sure what that. I don't know how long you have to be in a coma before it becomes acceptable for people to start,
start cleaning you out
on your stuff. Yeah, because when it comes to your girlfriend or whatever, that's kind of up to them. You can't really put a time limit on that. But
no, I disagree.
In terms of your stuff,
I disagree. If I ever go into a coma, George is staying by my bedside until I come out.
Yeah. If you die, he's being buried with you.
That's right.
Like an
I'm an
slave.
Egyptian king, and he is my slave. That's right.
This is the coma. This is a great, this is probably the episode you would show people to be like, what is Seinfeld like? Because this is their formula. If you watch something enough, you can break down the basic formula of any random episode and this is it. It's like, there's a social dilemma that's like of varying intensity, but it has a certain floor. The floor is like, stealing someone's coat.
Yeah.
And the ceiling is like coma or like killing a guy. And the meat of the episode is figuring out the etiquette around this weird problem. And the joke is usually like that either Kramer, Jerry Seinfeld or Elaine, that they go so far out the bounds of what would be acceptable. It's like, if a guy was in a coma for like a year or 2 years, it's like, you could probably like date his girl for like if they were breaking up, I guess, right? But if it's like if Kramer's like instantly, no, you can take everything. Like, that's, I mean, and it is really incredible how they were able to do this for so long, because you look at most sitcoms. If you watch like 2.5 Men or any of that bullshit, it's like they're just taking like normal, when can you date a guy's ex, fellas? They're like Eric Alper quote tweet prompts. And they just like slot the shitty characters into that and make them do stuff their characters would do. But with this, they invent something. I mean, usually sort of taken from the lives of like Larry Charles or Seinfeld or Larry David, but like do show a high degree of creativity. And the joke is like they somehow avoid it being like too repetitive over like the massive run of this series, because there's like sort of infinite permutations you can do of this.
Yeah, absolutely. And they are surprisingly interested for a 20-minute sitcom in introducing philosophical problems to the mind of the viewer.
I love the episode where Jerry is deceived by an all-powerful demon into believing that he exists.
Yeah.
That's a particularly good one. Yeah.
They should have done a Bloodborne Seinfeld where it's like if you kill the alien that is like making an old man live past his natural lifespan, when can you fuck his doll?
Yeah.
That he's made a human.
What was it we came up with last week? Frankensteinfeld? Who is the monster?
Yeah.
Who is the monster and who is the creator?
Oh yeah. And then that was when Miles told us that Frankenstein was actually very eloquent in the book.
Yeah. More school time.
Yeah. And so then meanwhile, George has decided to go to a psychic. Elaine goes with him. This is where she admonishes the psychic for smoking while pregnant. She has the coffee cake that George likes, the Drake's coffee cake, and he thinks this is a sign that she's a true psychic. And then she tells George not to take the trip to the Cayman Islands. And this is when Elaine starts kicking off about the smoking thing, and she throws them both out. And George is trying to desperately find out why he shouldn't take the trip to the Cayman Islands. She's not playing ball. Cuts straight into Jerry doing a bit about psychics. I like the idea that like they're all Jerry's little lab rats living in his comedy maze, and all he's doing is he's feeding them to the hungry New York public, who are like,
yeah, I like Jerry. Jerry is, put it in game design terms, Jerry is the overworld.
Yeah,
Jerry is the architect. So what he needs them all to do is to
Phoebe watched The Matrix this week.
Look.
The Matrix references are coming thick and fast.
I've never seen the Matrix 2 and 3, so I've got a lot of questions about both of them.
Yeah, the Matrices trilogy.
Matrices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so he's saying that psychics should be licensed by the state, or they should have to take a driving test blindfolded.
Well, you know, I don't think it exists anymore because I think this guy died, but there was this thing called the James Randi Award.
The James Randi Award.
Yeah,
Pretty
who was
Randy.
this? James Randi was this magician.
Okay.
Who started this foundation, and it offered a prize of like $1 million if a psychic was willing to be subjected to laboratory conditions. And nobody ever
laboratory conditions, like let us like fucking load you into the brain scanner.
Yeah, it's getting like basically like making like a rat's maze but massive, and then just sticking the psychic in it.
Find your way out of that.
And he offered like all of these psychics the chance to show their abilities in laboratory conditions, and nobody ever took him up on it.
What a surprise! You would think they would have believed someone mad enough to think that they are really a psychic.
Yeah, why not?
Randy was a big deal on sort of like the early aughts internet.
Yeah.
Because, he was like, if you were generally like aligned with atheism and like skepticism, he was like...
he was a big...
I mean, he was a cool guy.
He was a cool guy. He was a big like... He was like a big deal on like the skeptic forums, and then like after like 2008 or whenever it was, everyone from the skeptic forums was just like, how about instead I just like decide to be like a massive racist?
Yeah, you become like an epic bacon atheist.
I'll just get really, really into like I'll forget about the kind of the kind of the history of human inquiry and the history of humanism and the history of thought, and instead I'm just going to decide that I just really fucking hate Muslims, and that's going to be my entire personality. But James Randi didn't do that, as far as I know. He just kept on with psychics are fucking fake, and he just kept on with that until he died. I think only like a couple of years ago. I think he died. He died really old.
Yeah, it was pretty recently. He was a pretty old guy. He was cool though. Like he didn't do any of that like bullshit, and he didn't like. He didn't really do like the other like early atheist thing, which was like it's a demonstrate like you have to sort of like play up how smart you are because it shows like the greatness of humanity versus the illusion of religion. Whereas Randy was just like, no, I'm going to do some cool magic tricks.
Yeah.
And, like,
it's funny. He was cool. He was a cool guy.
Frauds are funny.
Yeah.
Like that's what his whole act really was. Is that like it's funny when someone's a fraud?
Yeah. He also took the line that like. Particularly like fraud psychics were like preying on vulnerable people and taking their money, and they should be like exposed and made a fool of, which is very, very different from I just hate fucking Muslims, which seemed to be like what the rest of the skeptic movement decided to. That was the kind of they kind of went in like two very different directions.
Which is proof you just need to stick to one thing. If you start off with psychics, stick to that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you'll go astray.
But then what's going to happen is then that's just going to permeate every part of your life, and you start talking about it while you're fucking.
Yeah, you don't want that.
No.
So then we get the MILF at Jerry's apartment. They're having a little snog. And then she's like, what will you do if Martin wakes up? And she's like, you going to run like a mouse? And he's like, no, I figure I'd probably like run away like the Three Stooges. And then she's like, what are the Three Stooges? And he tries to explain, and then she's like, will you show me the Stooges? He's like, I'll show you the Stooges.
I think the bit when she says, like, tell me about them, tell me everything, I think was a very well observed.
Yeah. I want a MILF to ask me about the Three Stooges.
Do you?
And then for me to go like, it's like a comedy act from like the 50s. I don't know. I wasn't really alive then. But hey, we could Google them together. Me and you.
Is that what you're going to do? Don't do that. This is not going to work on the MILFs.
It's not going to work on the MILF.
No, you're going to have to do something.
Why don't you know? You're the MILF. You're older than me. You should know about the Stooges.
I'm not a MILF.
I'm not saying that to you. I'm saying that to the imaginary MILF.
Yeah, but I don't remember the Three Stooges.
I'm not saying that you do. I'm saying that this hypothetical MILF maybe does.
MILF does. No, this is the thing. This is a 1993 MILF. The MILFs of 2021 are far more polished and far more demanding.
Yeah. They're like, tell me about Tchaikovsky.
Yeah.
Explain.
Well, they
me.
became aware of their market value.
Yeah. The MILF became self-aware.
Yeah. Stacey's mum and Stifler's mum did a lot for MILF representation, and after that, they really,
Well, it's Stifler's mum who
transformed the market.
Who brought the term MILF into the mainstream.
Yeah, that's right.
I'd never heard the term before American Pie.
Well, I think it was invented by the film American Pie. In fact, I think
Really?
Yeah, I don't think people were saying it before.
Was it not a porn term before?
No, I think it was. I think that was the origin.
So there is not just a sort of cultural product, but one around which you structure your entire life that comes from the film American Pie,
which is a good movie. So actually, when you think about it, and you know what, it's one of the few movies that lives up to its title. He does fuck a pie in that film.
Well, that's not the title. The
title
title is American Pie.
Look, you don't want to make it too obvious. You want it to be like a little bit illusory. Pie fucker.
That's what they should have called it. They should have called it Pie Fucker.
Yeah, the original, the studio working title was Pie Fucker. That feels like a David Lynch film.
What, Pie Fucker?
Yeah, maybe Ken Loach. So anyway, then Jerry doesn't want to be seen walking out of a cab. He agrees, but then Newman sees them. So obviously, this is the first time we meet Newman. This is the first
time you meet Newman, yeah.
Yeah.
This is important. This is an important time for you.
Jerry.
Hello,
Jerry. So then we cut to George, Jerry, and Elaine at the hospital because Elaine's getting her ulcer test, her x-ray. And Jerry says to George, promise me if I'm ever in a coma, you put my stuff in storage. So the looters are going to come. I think he's worried primarily about Kramer, who, to be fair, he does live next door to, so that makes sense. Kramer shows up, and he says that Newman's upstairs seeing Marden. George offers Kramer his ticket to the Cayman Islands because he's too afraid to go. And then we cut to Kramer upstairs trying to get Marden, who's in a coma, to agree to give him his vacuum cleaner because Kramer wants it. And Newman's offering him like his carpet cleaner or something. Kramer's like, it's not the same. Jerry comes in and Newman says he's going to tell Martin about Jerry. And then Jerry bribes him with a coffee cake. A Drake's coffee cake. Everyone is very addicted to Drake's coffee cakes. Like, what are they putting in these? They're like heroin in these or something.
Chekhov's cake.
Is that a Chekhov's?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right. Yeah, fine. If you show the Chekhov's coffee cake in the first act, it's got to go off in the third act.
Yeah.
But are these like, yeah, Jerry says he's got a whole box of them at home. Are they like supposed to be hard to get in 90s New York? This is like this is like the shiny Charizard of foodstuffs.
The what? The shiny Shahrazad.
Shiny Charizard. Not the shiny Shahrazad. The shiny Shahada. The rarest card in all of Pokemon.
What? What are you talking about?
You grew up in the fucking 90s. Come on, don't fuck with me. You know what a fucking shiny Charizard is.
I absolutely don't.
It was like the one of the rarest Pokemon cards. It was like the Pokemon card that everyone
I never
wanted.
Collected Pokemon.
Well, neither did I, but I still know what one of those is because I grew up in the fucking 90s.
I think this might be like a little bit after my time.
It's a micro-generational difference.
I think it might be.
Yeah. Felix, were you a big Pokemon cards guy?
Early on, yeah. I just didn't stay with it. Apparently, a lot of people stayed with it for their entire lives after, though. I didn't know that.
Entire lives?
Big pokehead.
Yeah, kind of.
Shit. I can't do that. No. I wasn't even.
There are people still collecting the cards. They're still pretty big.
That's an amazing business to be in. Is like creating something like Pokemon cards because you make completely artificial scarcity. Like, oh, this is a shiny one and it's worth loads. And you just create this market in a thing that you just have the power to make. You're basically printing money.
I mean, you think that's crazy? CS:GO skins. There's a CS:GO skin, like the rarest AK-47 skin is because the way the patterns are created on the skin is totally randomized.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a specific pattern you can get with a specific skin on a specific gun, the AK-47 Case Hardened skin. And if there's enough blue on it, it forms what's called the scar pattern. And the last one I know of was bought via bank transfer, a $150,000 wire.
Jesus
from
Christ.
an Emirati to a European collector.
Woof.
Of course it was an Emirati.
Of course.
Emiratis and Chinese nationals own the majority of the very expensive skins that are, again, like they're just like, you know, little image files that you put over a gun asset.
Phenomenal. Because, yeah, I mean, you feel like, yeah, the Russians, they want the CSGO skin, but they can't afford it. You know,
Russians have a few of them.
I bet Putin has one.
Putin probably has like a Doppler 4 butterfly knife, but the majority of the big collectors are Chinese and Emiratis or Saudis. If you play a game in North America, and you play with like fills, like you don't have 5 people, you often can get like Chinese or Taiwanese students who are in Vancouver on North American servers. And like every time I've gotten those guys, they're awesome. Like they're always fucking, usually there'll be like one guy who's awesome at the game and one guy who kind of sucks, but the guy that's awesome is like amazing at it. And like every time I've been with one of those guys, like 5 or 6 times now, they'll always have like $20,000 worth of shit on them.
Oh, wow.
They rock.
$20,000 worth of Counter-Strike shit is powerful.
The most expensive Steam inventory in the world is estimated to be like a few $1 million, and it's a guy in the UAE.
Of course. It's in the UAE, you get $150,000 Steam credit at birth as like a state, you know.
Like a state
subsidy. That's the oil money. Yeah, that's what it comes into. But they want people to be good gamers.
They didn't always used to be this much. The highest end skins, none of them would really cost as much. But when Tencent started like allowing people to play in China, Chinese players were like, "Oh, these are sick," and like just started buying tons of skins and cases, and it exploded the skin market a few years ago.
So in many ways, the Chinese have done the same thing to Counter-Strike they've done to the London property market.
Exactly.
Yeah. The same thing.
Well, they weren't trying to like make skins prohibitively expensive. It was just like if you have like, for most people, when it's like, okay, yeah, like Australia can play now. Okay, that's like a few 100,000 people, maybe like low millions. When it's China, like, okay, if like 20% of the games playing market in China starts playing, that's a shitload of people.
Yeah.
If they start buying skins, that shit's exploding. It's not their fault, you know, just like they couldn't play it at first, and then Tencent like found a way for them to play. And they weren't being like, you know, oh, fuck Americans, we don't want them to be able to afford a dragon lore.
You weren't trying to say there was a grand Chinese conspiracy to drive up the price of
I'm sure someone will say that.
Yeah, I'm sure there is someone. China.
But no, it's just like that's what happens.
The AK-47 skin, it's very rare. And the Chinese, they've bought all of them, actually. The Americans, you can't get them, and we're gonna do something about that. We're looking into it.
That's when you're all done talking about
very
how
strongly. Barron's been playing Counter-Strike.
China imposed Peter Andre on us.
Yeah, China's driving up the price of Peter Andre. So then George finds the psychic who's in labor in the hospital. He tries to get out of her what's going on in the Cayman Islands, and she's like stuttering because she's in labor. Elaine is so hungry that she bursts into Marden's room and she eats Newman's coffee cake. The commotion wakes Marden up, and then Newman tells him about Jerry's infidelity with Newman's wife. No, not Newman's wife, Marden's wife. Which I think is Newman's really snaking Jerry there, because I mean Jerry gave him the cake. It's not his fault that he can't control the cake.
Newman hates Jerry.
Yeah,
that has been established.
Not as much as he loves cake, though.
True.
Get this. This guy, he hates Jerry, but he's also fat.
This was a good intro to Newman's character.
I agree. I agree. You will
okay.
See Newman again.
I'm living, I'm learning. So then, and then they're sort of debriefing afterwards. Classic end of a Seinfeld episode scene. Jerry's explaining, like, you'll never believe that the psychic named the kid Rasputin. Or is that George says that to Jerry?
Yeah.
So the other. I love a bit in Seinfeld where the entire joke is like, oh, what a coincidence, but it's also just a coincidence that's been very throwaway set up.
Yeah.
As part of there's no real reasoning behind it, but
it's a fun joke.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah,
we enjoy that.
No, it's not like a massive like walk off.
I think Rasputin is a good name. I'm gonna throw mine.
Because it means your child can't be killed by Russian aristocrats.
Yeah, and that's something
which
that
is
I'd
one
be
of my
very
main
concerned
fears.
about. Yeah,
yeah. I don't want my child to be able to be poisoned by a guy called Graf Levitsky or whatever.
I want my child to be immune to all poisons.
Exactly,
and to be able to safely visit Salisbury and see the cathedral without any cause to fear.
Yeah, that's why the Russians use nerve agents, because they're immune. And then Kramer gets back from the Cayman Islands. He's like, I had a great 4 days. Sports Illustrated were having a photo shoot there. Played nude backgammon with Elle Macpherson. Got stung by jellyfish, but it was fine. Marden and the MILF have moved in together in another building. And Kramer's like, oh shit, I've got to call Elle Macpherson back.
It doesn't make any sense that Martin and the
furious.
MILF have moved in together. That doesn't make any sense at all.
No, surely they'd be.
Well, that's just like a stupid woman joke.
Yeah, it's kind of like a
That's
kind of
literally,
sort of
yeah.
that's like kind of the kicker in the tail, but it doesn't really make any sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It doesn't chime with what we established about her character.
Those are two time capsules because it's like, this guy's like clearly psycho, but the joke here isn't on him. It's like, oh, what a stupid woman.
Yeah, no, that is the joke.
But with also with like Kramer's Vacation, it's like, yeah, it sounds pretty good, but it's played as like George missed out on the opportunity of a lifetime.
Yeah.
And not like it's like very much for like a time period where you can't just like see tits on your phone.
No.
Yeah.
It's like you have your few magazines that have some tits in it, and if you're a real sicko, you like go to the store or you buy movies with tits in it. You're probably not doing that, so you just like, even as an adult, it's like, damn, I hope I see some nudity on Vacation.
Yeah, you're
and that's what I'm
relying
gonna jack off to for the
on
next
hard
5
copy
years.
tits.
Hard copy originals.
Yeah.
Yeah, if that happened to like my friend, I'd be like, oh, cool.
Non-NFT tits.
Yeah. Fungible tits.
Fungible tits. I want to see fungible tits.
Yeah.
But it's implied like Kramer's like they thought he was cool.
Yeah.
Which is sort of a timeless joke that it's like the weird guy who like doesn't give a shit kind of. They'd be like, yeah, this guy's
I mean,
cool.
that is something that is interesting because the implication is that George would have had an identical holiday had he gone on it. But surely the idea is that the reason that Kramer gets to know Elle Macpherson and the other Sports Illustrated swimsuit models is because he's Kramer. Presumably, we're not supposed to think that George would have been able to similarly strike up the same friendship.
Costanza is also always crushing pussy.
He is, but not in the same way that Kramer is. Kramer has a specific elan.
Well, yeah, George has to plot on it, and Kramer just like stumbles into it. He's not even trying.
Kramer falls back asswards into pussy.
Yeah.
The classic ass to pussy.
Yeah.
George does like fuck a lot, but it's because he's like put together a plan and a strategy.
Yeah.
Also, we have still no proof that the amount that George fucks isn't a kind of fevered projection of his febrile and tortured imagination.
Well, they're like doing Shutter Island on George, but to like make him believe that he gets pussy.
Shutter Pussy Island.
Shutter Pussy Island. Pussy Island.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm spitballing.
Yeah.
I'm spitballing here.
Crumpet Island.
When Elaine is so hungry that she sees the cake and she just like falls on it.
Yeah.
I have a lot of sympathy for this. Like a couple of years ago, I arranged to meet a friend right at the end of the Yom Kippur fast, and like I arranged to meet him like literally just like after, so like I was allowed to like have a drink and stuff.
Yeah.
And I ordered some like chips or something, and I ate them in what I thought was a perfectly normal way for someone who hasn't eaten for 26 hours.
Yeah.
And he just went, I've never seen anything like it. It's like sitting down with a wolf, because I just like kind of fallen on this plate of chips and just like devoured them in a really disgusting wolf-like way.
Yeah. You've always been a Turkish nationalist deep down.
Shut the hell up.
Aren't we all in a way?
But yeah, so 26 hours, that's hard enough.
Yeah.
3 days, fuck.
3 days, that's a long time
That's
to
a
not
long
eat.
time.
You'd be seeing through time. Then we get a bit where Jerry is. I mean, it's a bit you couldn't do now, but it's a bit I respect the effort of going at it.
I think this is like an interesting like pivot into like kind of dark edge stuff. This is like kind of like watching Jerry like inventing Anthony Jeselnik.
Yeah, this is the beauty of live stand-up, you know, because it's like people try to commit suicide and then they don't try again. Why not? Their life's even worse now because they've just found out one more thing they suck at. He's like, you know, this is the problem. This is why they end up killing themselves in the first place, because they give up too easy. That's what's wrong with their life. And I was like, yeah, this is a good bit. This is like a tightly constructed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Which is unusual because usually Seinfeld's bits are quite confused. They're quite like Jerry is like baffled by something which most people aren't even thinking about. And he's kind of like stumbling through a kind of like fog, like Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, trying to understand something like, you know, a phone box or whatever.
Or engaged in this sort of strange reportage.
Whereas this is like a real like
this is a solid stand-up
philosophical here.
But he veers away from the proto Jeselnik stuff and returns to his documenting the sickness of the carbon-based life forms for the aliens back home.
Yeah. Proto-Jeselnik is like the theoretical shared language that all comedians have that's now been lost.
Very good.
There you go. That's me. That's what a classics degree will do for you. I know that you also have a classics degree.
Yeah.
It's why this podcast is so fucking bad.
This is what I fucking use it for.
Yeah, that's right. For this. All right. Well, that's a fucking episode of Seinfeld right there. That's what we've done.
It's a great episode. I really like it.
It's a fun episode.
I really like it.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was good.
I like the Mediterranean MILF. I think she's a good character. I think it's a shame we never see her again.
Yeah. I wanted more from the Mediterranean MILF.
I wanted more from Elaine. Elaine doesn't have a problem.
There wasn't enough Elaine. Well, this is always the problem with any plot which involves Jerry striking out about getting pussy, is that the undercurrent of it is that he voluntarily broke up with Elaine, the hottest woman who has ever lived. Ridiculous. And so it's all already imbued with this sense of kind of absurdity. Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, it remains for us only to thank Felix very much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much, Felix.
My pleasure.
Yeah. Is there anything you'd like to plug to the many hogs of this show?
I actually don't have anything now. I'm all out. I'm in between things.
Yeah. If you need any medical treatment, you can hit Felix up.
Yeah. Contact my doctor. Think medical.
Yeah. If you have any questions about ulcers or anything of that nature.
Need any good pictures of like Russian people who own like badgers as pets or something, then go to Felix because he's good for that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Want to plug the account Russian Sable on Instagram. It seems as though Umora the Sable's adopted mom is now fostering 2 other Sables.
Nice.
Pretty fun.
Oh, I'd love a Sable.
They're my favorite. I love them.
They're so cute. They're so nice.
You and the putative subject of the song Santa Baby.
Huh?
That's is it Eartha Kitt? Is she the original person who sang Santa Baby?
Yeah, but
Slip a sable under the tree for me.
She means a sable coat.
Yeah, but it's like it's a killed sable.
It's a dead sable. We want a live sable.
You don't know that she means a dead sable.
Yes, she does. She means a coat made out of a dead sable.
You're assuming that. All she says is slip a sable in it. Maybe she's just into sables.
Shut the hell up. She's not just into sables.
Russians were the only people who were like, no, these can be pets.
Yeah.
Well, like they did those because like these animal rights people were like, you can buy sables back from a fur farm, and they're like, oh yeah, we want to like buy them and rehabilitate them and then put them out in the wild. But then like the sables, like they got too attached to their adopted parents, and they're like, well, you like have to keep them, and they're like, okay. And they're like, they'll do things like they're like really like brave, wily hunters, but like they become so attached to these people that like they'll go on walks and shit. But if they get scared, they climb onto the person's shoulder because they feel safe there.
That's so cute. Can I have a sable?
I mean, it's not really up to me. You have to ask George.
They're hard to get outside of Russia. I've looked into it. I've really looked into it.
Anything goes in Russia. I once went to a hookah bar in Russia where they just had a lion behind the counter.
Yeah.
Just some Chechen guys in their fucking tap out t-shirts and their UFC hats. And they just got a fucking lioness chained up. Like doped up.
That's awful. See, no. This
That's bad for the lion.
Like, this sounds nice. This sounds
No,
charming.
I think it's actually quite cool for a lion to live in a shisha bar. I think actually some Chechen guys and a lion get on pretty well. I think that's pretty cool.
Felix, if you need to find some more animal content, I strongly suggest you look up the videos of people who temporarily foster in order to rehabilitate beavers who have been rescued.
Oh yeah, I watch a lot of those.
Released out into the wild, and they have to take them out to the brook, and they could take them on like little swim exercises. They're good. It's good shit.
I saw one where the beaver was like, he was just in a room with a bench, and he's like, "Oh, I know what I can do with this," and he just like builds a dam in the room.
Awesome.
He like, takes like a bench and a few backpacks, and he's like, "Yeah,
the one that I watched, this woman said that like all of their stuff kept going missing because the beaver kept stealing it to build dams with. Delightful.
So great.
It is cool. Like the sables do shit like that, where it's like sables are big into hiding food in nests, and like they'll smell something bad in their house and be like, "What the fuck?" And it turns out the sable has like a stash of rotting apples like behind a dresser.
This sounds like me. This is why I like the sound of these creatures.
The sable will slip something under the tree for you.
Oh,
stash of rotting apples.
That's nice, isn't it?
That is nice. Well, something much to think about if you're considering buying a sable. If you have other money left over, maybe consider subscribing to our Patreon. It's only $3 a month. You get the bonus
can do both.
episodes. You could do both.
Yeah,
if you are a sable, maybe consider subscribing. You could like hide the Patreon feed behind the dresser in your parents' house.
They're pretty smart.
Yeah.
They figure out how like door handles work and shit, which took me a while.
Yeah, that's probably smarter than a lot of people that listen to this show, to be honest with you.
Yeah. They can do that. They can definitely like get on a computer.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's $3 a month. It's $5 a month if you also want the additional Movie Corner episodes. We've got one out this month with Maddie Lubchansky, all about Gone in 60 Seconds.
That's right.
A film that is longer than it needed to be.
Yes.
All right. Well, we will see you either next week on the bonus feed or in 2 weeks on the free feed. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.